Y'all, stop scrolling. Right now. Because what I'm about to tell you about Stefon Diggs, Cardi B, and the receipts that just fell out of a federal courtroom is the kind of mess nobody on the timeline is brave enough to connect. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Listen carefully because the media is not going to tell you this. Cardi B's baby daddy, the man she just paraded in front of the entire Super Bowl right after his mistresses and side pieces flooded that stadium like a roll call, is now being dragged into a federal courthouse and ordered by a judge to finally explain how he actually knows the man accusing him of drugging and assaulting him in 2023. And while that's happening, an active NFL player just slid into the comments of his Instagram and called him a slur the whole internet is now repeating with receipts. So no, this is not a regular Gossip Tuesday. This is the day the curtain ripped, and I'm going to walk you through every receipt, every name, every line of that filing, and every single the algorithm doesn't want you to connect. Like, comment, subscribe, because we are not stopping until every closet on this list gets aired out and every check that cleared in secret gets a name attached to it. Let me set the stage for the ones in the back. Cardi B has a second baby daddy, Stefon Diggs, and after the public humiliation of the Super Bowl, where the side chicks practically had assigned seating and the mistresses had badges, they magically got back together. Cute, right? Wrong. Because here is the gag. Stefon couldn't even wait the standard 10 to 15 business days that normal cheating men wait before they crawl back. He moved with urgency. He moved like a man on a deadline. And whenever a man moves with that kind of timing, baby, there is always a reason that has nothing to do with love and everything to do with damage control. Stick a pin in that. We are coming back to it. 3 times. Maybe 4. Now the new bomb. According to court documents obtained by TMZ Sports, a federal judge just ruled on a series of discovery disputes last week in Diggs' ongoing legal war with Christopher Blake Griffin, the man who is accusing him of drugging and assaulting him in 2023. Diggs' team tried to wave it off by calling Griffin an acquaintance. The judge looked at that word and said, "Baby, no, that is not enough. You will explain, on the record, how you know this man. You will explain how an acquaintance ends up filing federal allegations like this. You will explain it under oath." Allegations Diggs has denied, repeatedly, but here is the thing about denials. Denials don't survive discovery. Discovery is where men go to drown. Discovery is where every text, every DM, every Venmo, every flight log, every hotel key card gets handed to a judge in a binder. And the judge already signaled he is not playing. He used the word insufficient. When a federal judge calls your defense insufficient at the discovery stage, that is not a warning shot. That is the prosecution loading the chamber. But the courtroom is only Act 1. Because while that filing was hitting the docket, an NFL player, Antonio Brown of the Buffalo Bills, slid into Stefon's Instagram and dropped a one-word grenade in the comments. He called him a slur. He called him the F word. He called him of the day, like it was a Yelp award. And in case anybody thought it was a typo, or a hack, or his cousin on his phone, he doubled down. He openly suggested that Stefon dresses, moves, and lives in a way that, according to him, points to a closet. Now, I'm not in nobody's bedroom. I'm not in nobody's DMs. But when a man in the league, who has shared locker rooms with people who have shared locker rooms with Stefon, comments that publicly, with that confidence, baby, the dots are connecting themselves. He didn't whisper it on a podcast. He didn't subtweet it. He typed it where the world could screenshot it. That is not a rumor. That is a statement. That is a press release with no PR firm. And then the comparison started. People online started lining Stefon up next to Lil Uzi, the same Uzi that Cardi herself has, allegedly, made very pointed comments about. Remember the song Magnet? Remember when she went at JT and said, and I quote with the bleeps inserted, "My man might cheat, but at least I don't stuff toys up his behind"? Remember that bar? Remember how loud she was when she dropped it? Remember how proud she was when the internet ran with it? Because the internet remembered. The internet pulled up that bar, lined it up next to her current baby daddy, lined it up next to Antonio Brown's comment, lined it up next to the federal filing, and the timeline went silent. You could hear a bobby pin drop on a velvet carpet. Because that bar she swung at JT, baby, gravity exists. Karma exists. And in the universe gravity has, the universe always finds the sender. Always. With interest. Compounded daily. Now hear me out, because this is where most of the gossip channels are going to stop. They're going to scream, Cardi got played, Cardi got tricked, Stefon fooled her. And I'm here to tell you that take is lazy. That take is wrong. That take is letting her off the hook for the 3rd time this calendar year. Cardi B was not tricked. Cardi B is not stupid. Cardi B is many things, but blind is not one of them. The Super Bowl told her. The side chicks told her. The mistresses told her. His chef told her. Yes, the chef, the same chef who, in open court, testified that Stefon allegedly offered her $100,000 to recant her assault claim. She lost that case, sure, but that $100,000 number didn't disappear. That number sat down in the record. That number is now public. And a man who is allegedly throwing six-figure hush money at a chef is a man with skeletons that have skeletons. Skeletons inside skeletons. Russian doll skeletons. Cardi knew. Cardi saw. Cardi chose. And Karma, baby, Karma is the most patient woman in the entire building. She does not rush. She does not text first. She just waits. So let me give you the angle nobody else is brave enough to give you. Forget, did Stefon trick Cardi? That is the wrong question. The right question, the one that is going to age like fine wine in a cellar, is this: who is funding the silence? Because for every chef offered 100,000, there is somebody offering more to somebody louder. For every acquaintance the judge just dragged out into the light, there are 3 more sitting in the dark with a non-disclosure agreement and a wire transfer receipt. Stefon is a free agent right now. He is not under contract. He is not pulling Patriots money this week. But he did not blow through the bag. That man has reserves. And in this industry, reserves are not for retirement. Reserves are for cleanup. Reserves are for the people who can speak. Reserves are for the chefs, the assistants, the drivers, the trainers, the stylists, the security details, the acquaintances who suddenly need to relocate to a different state with a different last name. Watch the timeline. Watch for the sudden silences. Watch for the accounts that go private. Watch for the receipts that stop hitting the timeline. Every one of those is a check that cleared. Every one of those is a story that got bought. Now, let me draw the timeline because the timeline is the smoking gun. Super Bowl, mistresses spotted. 1 week later, public split rumors. 2 weeks after that, Instagram wipe. A wiped Instagram is the universal industry signal of one of 2 things: a product launch or a damage control reset. 3 weeks after the wipe, photographed dinner with Cardi. The very next news cycle, federal judge orders him to explain the Griffin relationship. You see the rhythm? That is not coincidence. That is choreography. That is a team of publicists doing what publicists do, staging affection in front of cameras while the courtroom paperwork hits the docket through the back door. The public sees the photo op. The public does not see the filing. By the time the public catches up, the narrative is already locked. He's a family man now. He's reformed. He's with the mother of his child. Meanwhile, in the docket, the judge is writing insufficient with red ink. Make it make sense. I'll wait. And while we are watching, let's talk about who else just got caught with their bag wide open. Scratch Off, otherwise known to her fans by a name we are not even going to say in this video because the algorithm is tired. Her label, RCA, and I'm calling them the colorist because at this point that is what the streets are calling them, is reportedly not happy. Not at all. First week sales came in at 34,000. Now 34,000 is more than she has ever done in her life, sure. But the label was projecting 50 to 60. They had the pregnancy announcement queued up like a chess move. They had the engagement on Instagram. They had the likes on X. They had Mariah the Scientist on the feature list. They had Teyana Taylor. They had Doja. They had 21 Below Average. They had Jelly Roll. They had every fan base in the building loaded into one track list like a Smash Brothers roster. And the fans of those features said, with their whole chest, no thank you. Because she is not them. Because association is not artistry. Because you cannot feature your way out of a flop. You cannot collab your way into a culture that already swiped left on you 4 albums ago. And here is the cold part. I think she should go independent. I think the label does not care about her as an artist. I think they care about the headline and the streaming bump that comes with the headline. They cared about the pregnancy reveal more than the songs. They cared about the rollout drama more than the album. But Scratch Off is also part of her own undoing, and we have to be honest about that. She went at Nicki, didn't move the needle. She went at Ice Spice, didn't move the needle. She tried to patch it up with Ice Spice, didn't move the needle. She went at Cardi, didn't move the needle. She said, on camera, that she is open to a conversation with Cardi, didn't move the needle. The pregnancy announcement during album week, lifted straight from the Cardi playbook, didn't move the needle. Every PR stunt has the shelf life of milk left in a car in July. And now she has gifted Cardi, well, technically partisan Fontaine, because we all know who actually writes a free bar, a first week flop bar, a 34,000 on your 4th album bar, a bar with a built-in punchline and a hook. And Cardi is going to take that bar, deep fry it, season it with cayenne, and serve it back to her on a silver tray with a side of mashed potatoes. And ask yourself this, why is the label still tolerating it? Because here is the math nobody is doing out loud. Scratch Off is almost certainly recouped negative, meaning she owes them, meaning every album cycle is the label trying to recoup what they have already advanced. So when she complains that the label is not promoting her, baby, why would they promote you if every dollar they spend on you is a dollar they may never see again? That is not artistry. That is a balance sheet. And the balance sheet does not care about your pregnancy announcement. The balance sheet does not care about your Ice Spice patch-up. The balance sheet only cares about one number. And right now, that number is 34,000. So unless she gets out of that deal, the next album is going to come and go, and the headline is going to read, "Label sources express disappointment," again, and the cycle is going to repeat until she is dropped, independent by force, or sitting on a podcast crying about how the industry failed her. Take notes. The blueprint is right there. She just doesn't want to read it. Now pivot with me, because while one chart was crashing, another stadium was filling. HOV, the man I am legally and emotionally going to call Camel Face for the rest of this video, was spotted outside the Roc Nation offices in New York signing autographs for what is being described, very generously, as fans. A real fan said it best on X. "I walk past those offices multiple times a week. I have never seen a single person waiting for him. Not one. Suddenly there is a line. Suddenly there are vinyls. Suddenly there are CDs in 2026. Suddenly people brought 10 copies of an album to a Tuesday afternoon corporate lobby. Propaganda merchants, baby. That is what the streets are calling it. And here is my read. Camel Face does have fans. Real ones. Mostly in the 40-plus bracket. The Yankee Stadium shows sold out. He is not a nobody. He is not Sammy. But the people lined up outside Roc Nation with 6 vinyls in their arms? Those are not fans. Those are resellers. Those are eBay flippers. Those are Amazon listings in human form. Drake clocked this exact game years ago. He used to only sign 1 item per person because he knew the rest were getting flipped on Grailed by sundown. So when you see those photos, do not be impressed. Be informed. The autograph economy is a hustle, and right now somebody at Roc Nation is treating it like a campaign rally for an album rollout that needs the optics of organic demand. And let's talk about what is actually being rolled out. The Eminem feature, the stadium tour, the catalog repress. All of that is fine. All of that is real. But there is a difference between organic demand and manufactured demand, and the line outside Roc Nation is manufactured. You know how I know? Because real fans of his demographic do not stand outside a corporate office on a weekday at 3 p.m. They are at work. They are at home with their kids. They are at the barbershop. They are not in line in Midtown holding 6 vinyls each, hoping the man whose face is on the building walks out for a photo op. That is not a fan. That is a freelancer. And somebody on his payroll wrote a check for that crowd. And somebody on his payroll wrote a check for the photographer. And somebody on his payroll uploaded the photo to a fan account. And somebody on his payroll watched it go viral. That is the rollout. That is the machine. And once you see the machine, you cannot watch the magic show the same way again. Now let's talk about a real artist who is being sabotaged in real time. Tyla, the single with Future, Game Time, dropped for the FIFA World Cup, and it is sitting at number 4 on the Billboard Bubbling Under chart. Number 4, Bubbling Under, for a Tyla and Future record attached to the biggest sporting event on planet Earth. That is not a flop because of the music. That song is fire. Did It Again was fire. The snippet she just posted on her socials is fire. She can sing. She can dance. She has the talent that other girls in her bracket had to fake their way around to fake. So why is the chart fighting her? Because, in my opinion, the Rihanna situation sabotaged her. When she went on live and basically said Rihanna ignored her, she handed her detractors a free narrative. A free, ready-made narrative with stock photos attached. Every Rihanna fan, every Navy member, every casual listener who likes Rihanna more than they like a feud, they all quietly closed their wallets. Quietly. No call-out post. No tweet. Just a wallet closing. And a wallet closing is louder than any tweet. A wallet closing is the only review that matters. The fix is not to apologize. The fix is to build her own lane. Stop sounding like Rihanna. Stop being framed next to Rihanna. Stop the styling that screams Rihanna. Stop the visuals that whisper Rihanna. Carve a sound nobody can compare. Because right now, every time someone hits play on Tyla, the algorithm whispers Rihanna in the ear of the listener, and the listener decides which one to choose. Guess who they pick? Every single time. Tyla has a small window to course correct because her album drops next month. If she lets this Rihanna shadow follow her into that rollout, the album is going to underperform, and the headlines are going to write themselves. Tyla's sophomore slump. The industry already has the cheering ready. The blogs already have the draft saved. The only thing standing between her and that headline is a sound and a visual identity that does not need a comparison to exist. She has talent. The talent is not the problem. The positioning is the problem. Positioning kills more careers than any flop single ever has. Pivot. See Breezy. The artist formerly known as a man with one baby mama, and now known as a man with a roster. He is being exposed by Diamond Brown, also known as the woman the internet has nicknamed Karuji Jr., because, baby, the resemblance is criminal. She just posted text messages, full screenshots, where she straight up told him, "You do not control me. You do not get a say in my personal relationships. We have not been together in almost 2 years. The only relationship we have is co-parenting. Focus on your other baby on the way." And his response, "You hate me, but whenever you want me, I'm here. Your ass always turns me on. Stop being a B to me." That is a direct quote from the screenshots she posted publicly, with his name attached, with his number redacted only enough to keep the lawsuit away. And then she went on Instagram and said, "You can text me that, but I can't ask about our daughter, so you got blocked." Block. End of conversation. End of access. Now look, Chris Brown can date who he wants. He is rich. That is his life. But the man has, what, 4 or 5 kids now? 4 baby mamas? That is not freedom. That is a payroll. And once one of them speaks, the rest start eyeing the microphone. Because in the baby mama union, and there is a union, do not let anybody tell you otherwise, there is always a first domino. Diamond just became the first domino. The countdown is on. The other baby mamas are watching the comment section. They are watching the reception. They are watching the engagement metrics. They are deciding, in real time, whether the cost of speaking is worth the visibility. And if Chris keeps this pace, he is one TMZ headline away from becoming Nick Cannon 2.0. And Nick Cannon, as we have seen, is currently being dragged across the timeline for being a deadbeat. That is not a club you want a membership card to. That is not a frequent flyer program with rewards. That is a one-way ticket to the comments section permanently. And here is what I keep coming back to. He has a baby on the way with somebody else. He is texting Diamond like she still owes him access. He is telling her her body still belongs to him in a metaphorical way. And he is doing it in writing. In writing. In an era where every text message is a screenshot waiting to happen. The audacity is not the issue. The lack of strategy is the issue. If you are Chris Brown in 2026, and you have a fan base that has defended you through everything, and you have a new baby on the way, and you have endorsement deals that depend on optics, you do not send those texts. You call. You FaceTime. You meet in person. You leave no paper trail. The fact that he sent it in writing tells me he genuinely believes he is untouchable. And men who believe they are untouchable always end up in the very next news cycle being touched. Watch. Quick W in the middle of all this chaos. Doja Cat's Planet Hurt just became the first album by a female rapper in history to spend 230 weeks on the Billboard 200. 230 weeks. That is historic. Genuinely. Hats off. Salute. But, and you knew there was a but, that is also a flashing red light. Because if Planet Her is still on the chart at week 230 and Scarlet isn't, and the new music isn't, that means the audience is not moving forward with her. They are clinging to a 5-year-old album. They are streaming nostalgia. They are not streaming evolution. So congratulations, Doja, genuinely. But also, the data is telling you something the label is too scared to put in an email and too political to put in a meeting. Here is the brutal truth. In the streaming era, longevity on the chart sounds like a flex, but it can also be a trap. Because if your old album is doing the work your new album was supposed to do, the new album is invisible. It is being subsidized by the old one. And every executive at every label looks at that and quietly asks one question. Do we still need to fund the new music if the old music pays the bills? The answer they reach is rarely the answer the artist wants. So Doja's 230 weeks is a trophy, sure, but it is also a memo. And the memo says, the audience locked in 5 years ago and never unlocked. Decode that. Internalize that. And then ask why every recent rollout has felt like a fight. And finally, and y'all are going to fight me in the comments for this one, so type the keyboard up. Teyana Taylor is getting the Icon of the Year award at the 2026 BET Awards. And the timeline lost its mind. A fan literally said, "How in the hell does Teyana get honored before Ciara?" and dropped 3 letters I cannot legally repeat. Listen, I love a good petty debate, but let's be honest with our chest. Teyana just won a Golden Globe. She was nominated for an Oscar. Her last album was nominated for a Grammy. She has been working in every lane simultaneously while raising 2 kids, while choreographing her own visuals, while directing, while modeling, while running a brand, while sitting front row at fashion weeks she actually got invited to. Ciara, and I say this with the most love possible, no shade. When is the last time Ciara made any noise that wasn't a pregnancy announcement? Level Up was the last real cultural moment. Level Up. We are years removed from Level Up. Ciara is in her Rihanna bag, meaning she is living her life. She is putting out music, but the industry is not buying tickets to the music. The streets are not buying. The blogs are not buying. The streams are not buying. The radio is not playing. The TikTok kids are not dancing to it. You cannot be a has-been who hasn't had a hit in a decade and then act offended when the icon trophy goes to the woman who actually showed up to work in multiple lanes. Teyana doesn't sell records, fine, but she sells everything else. Movies, magazines, acting nominations, choreography credits, cultural moments, brand deals that do not require her to beg. That is what an icon is in 2026. The definition shifted. Sierra did not get the memo, and the BET committee did get the memo, and they voted accordingly, and the trophy has Teyana's name engraved on it already. So let me bring this whole monster home for you. Connect the dots with me one more time, slowly, because somebody at the back is still missing it. Stefon Diggs is being ordered by a federal judge to explain a relationship with a man who accused him of assault. An NFL player just publicly called him a slur and implied he is in a closet. His chef, in open court, said he offered her 6 figures to recant. He is a free agent with no team and a war chest of money that hasn't been touched in months. He came back to Cardi the moment his Instagram got wiped, and a wiped Instagram is the universal sign of a product launch, not a relationship. Meanwhile, his expatriate's paycheck is still earning interest, and somewhere in a back office, a lawyer is drafting non-disclosure agreements for everybody named in that 2023 filing. Now overlay that with Cardi's own bars, the JT bar, the toys in the behind bar, and ask yourself what karma actually looks like in real time. This is it. This is the receipt. This is the universe billing her with interest for every shot she fired at a woman who, at the very least, did not have a federal filing on her partner's name. And here is my final word, the one I want you to screenshot and save in a folder titled, I Told You So. Stefon Diggs has the money to bury this. I believe that. He has NFL money, even as a free agent. He has endorsement money. He has reserve money. He has the kind of money that buys silence in installments. So do not expect this to crash overnight. Expect it to drip. Expect a name to leak. Expect a settlement to leak. Expect a source close to the situation to suddenly become very chatty and then very quiet. That mid-cycle quiet is the wire transfer arriving. That is the rhythm. That is the choreography. And Cardi B, the same Cardi B who had all that smoke for JT, is now sitting in the front row of a show she helped pay for. I do not want to hear her drag another baby daddy. I do not want to hear her clown another woman's man. Because right now, in this exact moment, other football players are calling her baby daddy a slur in his own comment section. A federal judge is making him explain himself under oath, and male accusers are filing paperwork with his name on it. That is the karma special. Table for one. Reservation under humble. And before I let you go, because I know somebody in the comments is going to say, but Tisa, what's the punchline? The punchline is this. Every single person in this video, from Stefon to Scratch Off to Camel Face, to Tyla to C Breezy to Doja to Teyana, is operating on the same currency. Attention. They are all spending it, borrowing it, faking it, flipping it, or trying to recover it. The ones who win are the ones who know exactly when to spend and when to disappear. Stefon spent his too early. Scratch Off spent hers on the wrong beefs. Camel Face is renting his outside an office in Manhattan. Tyla almost lost hers in a Rihanna comparison. C Breezy is bleeding his out in text messages. Doja is living off interest. And Teyana, quietly, calmly, with no headlines, no thirst traps, no Twitter wars, has been compounding hers for a decade. That is why she got the trophy. That is why she is still in the room. That is why, when the dust settles on every single story I just laid out, her name is the one that will still be standing. Now let me leave you with one more receipt before the bell, because I know somebody is going to email me asking for sources. The TMZ Sports filing is real. Hold the docket. The judge ruled on discovery disputes last week. The acquaintance framing was rejected with the word insufficient. That is not opinion. That is record. The Antonio Brown comment was screenshotted before Stefon's team could scrub it. The archive does not forget, and the archive is searchable. The chef testimony, the $100,000 offer to recant, is in the transcript. She lost the case. The number did not lose. The number is forever. Cardi's Magnet bar at JT is on streaming. Pull the song. Skip to the verse. Read it on Genius. The bar exists. The aim exists. The karma now exists. RCA's projected first week for Scratch Off was leaked by a label insider to a major chart tracking account. 34,000 actual. 50 to 60 projected. The delta is the disappointment. Roc Nation's Manhattan foot traffic, for years, has been documented as near zero outside corporate hours. The sudden vinyl line is the anomaly. The anomaly is the story. Tyla's bubbling under position at number 4 for a World Cup record with Future is publicly visible on Billboard's site. The data is the indictment. Diamond Brown's posted text screenshots have not been publicly disputed by Chris Brown's team. Silence in the face of receipts is, itself, a receipt. Planet Her's 230-week run is a verified historic mark. Doja's newer albums are not on the chart. Both facts coexist. Both facts mean something. And Teyana's Golden Globe win and Oscar nomination are matters of public record. Sierra's last top 10 hit predates the discourse. The Icon Award did not skip anybody. The Icon Award found the person currently doing the work. So tell me, in the comments, who do you think gets exposed first? Is it Stefon, when that federal discovery gets unsealed? Is it Scratch Off, when the label finally pulls the plug? Is it Camel Face, when one of those resellers leaks the photo op contract? Is it Tyla, if she keeps the Rihanna comparison alive? Is it C Breezy, when the next baby mama picks up the microphone? Or is it Cardi B, when karma finally collects on the JT bar with interest? Drop your prediction. Tag the friend who said Cardi was going to be fine after the Super Bowl. Tag the one who said Scratch Off was about to have her year. Tag the one who defended Camel Face's line outside Rock Nation. And come back tomorrow because I already have the next domino lined up, and I promise you, this is the one that breaks the whole table. I have a very, very, very hot tea about next year's Super Bowl waiting on Patreon. Link is in the description. And trust me when I tell you, the names attached to that one are going to make today's video look like a warm-up, like a stretch, like a sound check, like the trailer for the trailer, like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on the bell so you don't miss the live. And listen, listen, listen. Do not let anybody in your comments downplay what just happened today. A federal judge does not order an explanation for an acquaintance unless the acquaintance is the whole story. Remember that line. Screenshot that line. Put it in your notes app. And when the next headline hits, you come back here and you tell me. Tisa told you first. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye. One more thing before I let you walk away. Watch the publicists. Watch the cleaners. Watch the names that suddenly appear in flattering interviews and the names that suddenly disappear from podcasts. Every single one of those moves is choreographed. Every single one of those moves is paid for. Every single one of those moves is the industry doing what the industry does, protecting the asset, burying the receipt, rebranding the villain into the victim. The play is old. The play is the same play they ran for R. Kelly until it stopped working. The play is the same play they ran for Diddy until it stopped working. The play is the same play they are running for Stefon right now, in real time, on your timeline, while you scroll past it. So this is your job, if you're still watching at this point. Do not just consume the gossip. Source it, date it, timestamp it, save the screenshots, bookmark the docket numbers, pull the Billboard chart positions, pull the streaming counts, because when the rebrand attempt comes, and it is coming on every single name I listed today, you are going to need receipts to remember who actually did what. The publicists are going to rewrite the story. The interviews are going to soften the timeline. The documentaries are going to leave out the inconvenient years. And the only thing standing between the truth and the marketing department is the receipt you saved on your phone. Save it, date it, file it, pull it up later. That is how you stop being a passive viewer and start being a witness. And one final note for the Cardi defenders in the chat, because I see you typing, I see you warming up. I am not saying she deserves what is happening. I am saying she chose what is happening. Those are two different sentences. Deserves is a moral judgment I am not in a position to make. Chose is a documented fact. She chose to take him back. She chose to walk him into the Super Bowl. She chose to ignore the chef, the testimony, the side chicks, the mistresses, and the federal filing. She made the choice with her eyes open. So when the next headline drops, do not call it karma. Karma is too clean a word for what this is. Call it the natural outcome of a series of decisions made by an adult woman with access to information, lawyers, and friends who tried to warn her. That is not karma. That is consequence. And consequence does not care how famous you are. One more thing before I let you walk away. Watch the publicists. Watch the cleaners. Watch the names that suddenly appear in flattering interviews and the names that suddenly disappear from podcasts. Every single one of those moves is choreographed. Every single one of those moves is paid for. Every single one of those moves is the industry doing what the industry does, protecting the asset, burying the receipt, rebranding the villain into the victim. The play is old. The play is the same play they ran for R. Kelly until it stopped working. The play is the same play they ran for Diddy until it stopped working. The play is the same play they are running for Stefon right now, in real time, on your timeline, while you scroll past it. So this is your job, if you're still watching at this point. Do not just consume the gossip. Source it, date it, timestamp it, save the screenshots, bookmark the docket numbers, pull the Billboard chart positions, Pull the streaming counts. Because when the rebrand attempt comes, and it is coming, on every single name I listed today, you're going to need receipts to remember who actually did what. The publicists are going to rewrite the story. The interviews are going to soften the timeline. The documentaries are going to leave out the inconvenient years. And the only thing standing between the truth and the marketing department is the receipt you saved on your phone. Save it, date it, file it, pull it up later. That is how you stop being a passive viewer and start being a witness. And one final note for the Cardi defenders in the chat, because I see you typing, I see you warming up. I am not saying she deserves what is happening. I am saying she chose what is happening. Those are two different sentences. Deserves is a moral judgment I am not in a position to make. Chose is a documented fact. She chose to take him back. She chose to walk him into the Super Bowl. She chose to ignore the chef, the testimony, the side chicks, the mistresses, and the federal filing. She made the choice with her eyes open. So when the next headline drops, do not call it karma. Karma is too clean a word for what this is. Call it the natural outcome of a series of decisions made by an adult woman with access to information, lawyers, and friends who tried to warn her. That is not karma. That is consequence. And consequence does not care how famous you are. One more thing before I let you walk away. Watch the publicists. Watch the cleaners. Watch the names that suddenly appear in flattering interviews, and the names that suddenly disappear from podcasts. Every single one of those moves is choreographed. Every single one of those moves is paid for. Every single one of those moves is the industry doing what the industry does, protecting the asset, burying the receipt, rebranding the villain into the victim. The play is old. The play is the same play they ran for R. Kelly until it stopped working. The play is the same play they ran for Diddy until it stopped working. The play is the same play they are running for Stefon right now, in real time, on your timeline, while you scroll past it. So this is your job, if you're still watching at this point. Do not just consume the gossip. Source it, date it, timestamp it, save the screenshots, bookmark the docket numbers, pull the Billboard chart positions, pull the streaming counts. Because when the rebrand attempt comes, and it is coming, on every single name I listed today, you're going to need receipts to remember who actually did what. The publicists are going to rewrite the story. The interviews are going to soften the timeline. The documentaries are going to leave out the inconvenient years. And the only thing standing between the truth and the marketing department is the receipt you saved on your phone. Save it, date it, file it, pull it up later. That is how you stop being a passive viewer and start being a witness. And one final note for the Cardi defenders in the chat, because I see you typing, I see you warming up. I am not saying she deserves what is happening. I am saying she chose what is happening. Those are two different sentences. Deserves is a moral judgment I am not in a position to make. Chose is a documented fact. She chose to take him back. She chose to walk him into the Super Bowl. She chose to ignore the chef, the testimony, the side chicks, the mistresses, and the federal filing. She made the choice with her eyes open. So when the next headline drops, do not call it karma. Karma is too clean a word for what this is. Call it the natural outcome of a series of decisions made by an adult woman with access to information, lawyers, and friends who tried to warn her. That is not karma. That is consequence. And consequence does not care how famous you are. One more thing before I let you walk away. Watch the publicists. Watch the cleaners. Watch the names that suddenly appear in flattering interviews, and the names that suddenly disappear.